Welcome back, my rogues. Today's question is lawyers of Reddit. What is the biggest "well you didn't tell me that" moment you've had in your career? Hope you enjoy. My wife's most recent guy said his company fired him on a racial issue. Turned out the employer had an overtly racist, anti-Asian culture, but the client also kept coming to work and threatening the employer with a handgun in a funeral home. When defense counsel asked my personal injury client, a tall, 50-ish, leather vest-wearing biker, to describe the worst part of the neck injury he suffered when his motorcycle was hit by a car, he calmly replied, "The worst part? That I can't give oral sex, you know, cunnilingus, as well as I used to." After a long pause, defense counsel asked him to repeat the answer. My client did. He wasn't faking. He seemed genuinely sad. It was the first time I'd heard about that from him. It was heartfelt, unusual, and interesting, on a number of levels. Recently had a client's fact witness, an employee of the client, reveal at his deposition that he had signed an agreement which pays him a substantial bonus if the client wins the lawsuit. Our jaws dropped. How can you possibly give believable factual testimony at trial if you stand to earn a windfall if one side prevails? Ugh. I had one client that failed to tell me about a DUI. His third or fourth. I found out when he was on the stand. It was uncomfortable, to say the least. Came out in open court that my client's brother was her child's father. She'd been super dodgy about Jad's identity, and this was a restraining order hearing against brother. I represented a client who was suing for jaw and mouth-related injuries. I retained the services of her regular dentist to act as her expert witness. 2 days before our impending trial, my client casually mentions that she will be arriving at the courthouse with her dentist because they had become romantically involved and lived together for the past year. She had more than a year at her disposal to tell me this little bit of wonderful news, and so I immediately became more agreeable to a last-minute, pre-trial settlement. Obligatory, not a lawyer, but I watched this unfold as the foreperson of a jury. Defendant decided to be his own lawyer, accused of pulling over and switching drivers in a car while being pursued by police for driving without a license while on probation for DUI. Officer pursuing was the same officer who arrested him for the original DUI. Playing Perry Mason, defendant put his buddy on the stand and asked point blank, who was driving the car that day. Buddy replied, "You mean before or after we switched drivers?" It was all we could do to keep a straight face. A bit of a legend. But I got to read the actual trial record when a guy who claimed total loss of the use of his right arm testified for 45 minutes he had hurt his left arm. He even lifted his allegedly horrifically injured right arm above his head to demonstrate.
Hope you liked this video. Stay frosty, my rebels.